death is just the end of your body, but consciously you live forever. You live in everyone, you live in all. We share all this conscience. It only becomes limited when you connect your conscience to this body alone. My life in London, when I was living there before I had this first out-of-body experience, was as an entrepreneur. I was a salesman. I was introducing new type of food and beverage products to the hotel restaurant trade. My idea in London was to become rich, and out of this richness, then happiness would follow suit. That was the idea. One night when I was working in the office in the basement of a restaurant, I had to stay over because I missed my last train. I made a bed in the kids' room in the restaurant and I slept there. And then in the night I went out of bed and went into the restaurant, and then I had great experiences. I started to float on the floor without being able to detect my own movement and steps, and I moved in towards the wall, and when I came closer to the wall started to come closer to my nose, and at the moment my nose had to touch the wall, suddenly I was in the wall and was experiencing all the fabric and texture on a molecule level of the wall, and I was in this wall, not being able to see my body, but it was just floating around, and the wall was behind me, it was in front of me, up of me and left of me. And this went on and on and on, this kind of experiences. And then suddenly when I went back to the kids' room to continue sleeping, and then I entered this room and I saw my body laying on the ground. It was shocking. When my life flipped upside down, consciously so to say, I lived in the attic with my auntie, and all these one-liners start to come up in a couple of weeks. I just wrote it down in a book. You need darkness to see light shine through. One day it will appear to you that you have found what never was lost. So after this experience in London, which completely flipped my life upside down, I went back to Holland to live with a family of mine, and it was a 3-year long, very much of nothing. I spent most of the time just wondering what life meant and what life means. And it was not always easy. I went through more of these out-of-body experiences, which were very dark revelations, like very ghost-like experiences, but it always turned out into some kind of light experience. I met a very lovely, beautiful woman, and she brought me to Portugal. I followed her, and that is how I ended up living here in a more self-sustainable, autarkic way of life. What it means to me to live like this is actually self-sustainability, but also the simplicity of life. If you bring all your garden close to the house, where you don't have to travel, you don't have to go far for watering and your food, that's the idea how I like to live here. When I landed here in Portugal, where I'm now, that I start to receive some kind of clues or secrets. And I found a stone on the ground. When I pick it up, it cracked into 2 halves. And there was this perfect symmetrical pattern. And since I had the stone, I knew how to build structures here around, how to follow the lines in the ground. Where is the water going? Underground, overground? What do the birds do? How do the ants behave? You make it into a study, but also naturally you see some kind of natural behavior of wildlife and nature around you, away from what you're conditioned to accept or receive as reality. In the pattern in the out-of-body experience was always, there was some kind of a blackness, dark space, and in this space always came light in. So when I came into Portugal, I started to bring canvases back into my life, and I started mainly to make the canvas completely black. And then out of the blackness with my pencil, I started to pull out the first light out of the canvas. It came into color, but mostly it was white, and this pulling of light out of something which is completely black was for me always the confirmation that the darkest of darkest is always the canvas for where the light can be experienced the fullest. So I started to create these multiple dimensions on the canvas where sky and sea meet each other, and then where you can let these two blend, like sky and ground, where they can blend in each other, is where you break the limitations of 3 dimensions and you travel into multiple dimensions. Sometimes also people refer in my paintings that they can really go in or sucked in, and that is exactly the experience I have when I paint. This ecstatic feeling I get when I paint. Yeah. So one of the things I started to realize, and was actually confirmation what I've always felt in my life, was that our Western society was for me not true. The social structures, the science, the politics, the financial frame, the time frame was always, if this is reality and this is true, then it is only there to limit people to live by some kind of construct which makes it for them a way to live, but it is always a limitation. The conclusion will be freedom exists. You will find proof everywhere. Light will always shine.